Hey everyone, welcome back to Class Bites, your place for quick and easy lessons that make learning simple and fun. We hope that you liked our last video where we learned how humans adapt to living in areas prone to natural disasters. Today, we will switch to one historical geographical event, the Great Chilean Earthquake. Grab a few minutes and let's learn something new together.
The Great Chilean Earthquake was one of the most powerful and devastating natural events ever recorded in human history. It struck with a force that shook the very foundations of the land, sending waves of destruction across vast regions. The quake originated beneath the ocean floor along a major tectonic boundary, where immense plates of the Earth's crust grind against each other, storing enormous amounts of energy over long periods. When this energy was suddenly released, the ground trembled violently, shifting cities, toppling buildings, and fracturing roads with an unstoppable intensity that few had ever witnessed. The trembling was not localized. It was felt far beyond the immediate epicenter, rippling across neighboring regions with a severity that left the landscape altered in profound ways. As the Earth convulsed, the accompanying tsunamis raced across the ocean with astonishing speed. These massive walls of water struck coastal towns, sweeping away homes, docks, and entire neighborhoods in their relentless path. People who had lived for generations near the shore found themselves powerless against the overwhelming force, and countless lives were lost in moments. The combination of the earthquake and the towering waves created a catastrophe that reshaped not only the physical geography of the region, but also the lives of everyone who survived. Entire communities were displaced, and the infrastructure that once connected cities and towns lay in ruins, making rescue and recovery an enormous challenge. In the aftermath, the scale of destruction revealed itself in both the immediate and lingering consequences. Buildings that had once seemed sturdy were reduced to rubble, and the once familiar streets were blocked with debris, forcing survivors to navigate an unfamiliar and often dangerous terrain. Landslides triggered by the tremors buried roads and fields, while rivers and lakes were disrupted, altering the natural flow of water and threatening access to vital resources. Hospitals, schools, and other public facilities were damaged or destroyed, creating further hardship for the population. Communities that had been self-sufficient found themselves isolated, relying on aid from distant regions to meet basic needs. The psychological impact was equally profound, as survivors grappled with the trauma of losing loved ones, homes, and the sense of safety that once defined their daily lives.
Beyond the immediate human and structural toll, the Great Chilean Earthquake had profound and lasting effects on the natural environment, reshaping ecosystems in ways that would take decades to fully understand. Vast stretches of coastline were irreversibly altered, with some areas permanently submerged beneath the ocean while others were raised, exposing previously hidden rock formations and altering the habitats of countless marine and coastal species. Forests and farmlands suffered severe disruption. Trees were uprooted or snapped in half, soil was displaced, and fertile fields were buried under layers of sediment. Rivers shifted their courses, and lakes swelled or shrank as landslides dammed valleys or released torrents of water, creating temporary lakes that could disappear almost as quickly as they formed. These environmental changes forced wildlife to adapt, migrate, or face decline, illustrating how the impact of such a seismic event extends far beyond human experience. The quake also revealed vulnerabilities in infrastructure that had previously been taken for granted. Bridges that had withstood decades of wear crumbled under the sudden stress. Highways buckled and rail lines twisted, severing critical arteries of commerce and communication. Ports, once bustling with activity, were rendered unusable, while airports experienced damage that delayed the arrival of crucial aid and supplies. The economic repercussions were immediate and severe, with industries ranging from agriculture to mining suffering devastating losses. Businesses that had operated for generations were destroyed or forced to close, leaving thousands unemployed and compounding the hardships already faced by survivors. Recovery required not only the rebuilding of structures, but also the reestablishment of entire economic systems, a process that demanded creativity, perseverance, and extraordinary coordination. In addition to its material consequences, the earthquake left an indelible mark on the cultural and social fabric of the affected regions. Communities lost heritage sites, historical buildings, and public monuments that had stood for centuries, erasing tangible connections to the past. Yet, in response to this loss, new cultural expressions emerged, commemorating both the tragedy and the resilience of those who endured it. Art, literature, and oral histories began to capture the experience, preserving the collective memory and passing it on to future generations. These cultural artifacts became not only memorials, but also tools for education and reflection, ensuring that the lessons of survival and adaptation remained alive, even as cities and towns were rebuilt. The psychological dimensions of the disaster were equally significant. Survivors faced profound grief, anxiety, and uncertainty, struggling to process the sudden rupture of their daily lives. Children who had only known the stability of their homes and schools were confronted with an unfamiliar world of temporary shelters, lost friends, and disrupted routines. Adults contended with the pressure of rebuilding while coping with trauma, often finding themselves caught between the need to mourn and the necessity to act. Over time, however, these experiences fostered resilience, shaping communities that were more cohesive, resourceful, and capable of facing future adversities. Mutual support networks flourished, and a heightened awareness of safety and preparedness permeated social consciousness, influencing how neighborhoods and families approached everyday risks. The earthquake also had a transformative effect on scientific understanding and technological development. Geologists and seismologists studied the event extensively, refining models of tectonic activity and deepening comprehension of how earthquakes propagate and trigger secondary phenomena such as tsunamis and landslides. These studies prompted the development of more sophisticated monitoring systems and early warning mechanisms designed to reduce the loss of life in future events. Engineers applied lessons learned to improve the resilience of buildings and infrastructure, experimenting with new construction techniques and materials that could withstand intense shaking. In this sense, the disaster became a catalyst for innovation, inspiring both practical solutions and theoretical advancements that would benefit not only the affected country, but communities worldwide prone to seismic hazards. Furthermore, the Great Chilean Earthquake prompted a reconsideration of societal priorities and governance. The scale of the disaster underscored the importance of coordinated disaster response and long-term urban planning that accounted for natural risks. Governments and organizations invested more heavily in emergency services, risk assessment, and community education, recognizing that preparedness and prevention were as vital as response. International cooperation also increased as aid and expertise flowed across borders, illustrating how catastrophic events can foster global solidarity and shared responsibility. In this way, the quake, while devastating, became a turning point in shaping policies and attitudes toward disaster management, highlighting the interconnectedness of human societies in the face of natural forces.
Over time, as cities rose from the rubble and life gradually returned to the altered landscape, the memory of the Great Chilean Earthquake continued to influence both the physical and emotional terrain. Memorials and monuments were erected to honor those lost, while reconstructed neighborhoods often incorporated lessons in safer design and strategic placement. The disaster remained a defining moment in the collective identity of the nation, shaping narratives of endurance, courage, and the intimate, sometimes fragile, relationship between humanity and the earth. It is a story of destruction, adaptation, and transformation, demonstrating that even in the wake of nature's most violent expressions, the human spirit possesses a remarkable capacity to endure, rebuild, and reimagine a world forever changed by forces beyond its control.
And that wraps up today's topic. We hope you enjoyed this short lesson and learned something new. Drop a comment and tell us what topic you'd like to explore next. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Class Bites to keep learning and growing with us every day.